Hey guys, it is Citra here again with another Runecraft 2.13 preview, or if it's after Runecraft 2.13 is out, this is just going to be a basic tutorial about the new system we have, which is called Curses and Hexes. Before me I have the old Mousetrap rune, which is now classed as a curse, an offensive rune, and here are three of the hex runes that we have. In fact, they are the only three hexes that we have at the moment. This is called a touch hex, this is called a damage hex, and this is called the portal hex. Now, essentially what happens, the basics of the system is this. You choose your curse, in this case we'll be working with the Mousetrap rune, which sets you on fire. Then you choose your hex, which is how they are combined, or rather how the curse is set off. Now, the standard way you activate any of the curse runes can be done just by using them. And then you get its effect and the rune does not disappear. In this particular case, the tier 1 will tick for 6 seconds, I think it is, which is 3 hearts worth of damage. I have a willing volunteer for this. But having this set up and trying to trick someone into using it is not very easy. So that's where we have these hex runes, wherein you can bind them in a different way. For example, I am going to place this chest here. I'm going to place some worldly possessions inside. Then I'm going to take the touch hex, which is a rune that causes a curse to activate whenever you right click it. Think of it like an automation. So this is the right click trigger. I use the diamond to activate it because the diamond is the tool you use this for. So now I've got the touch hex on my diamond, and then I find the curse that I want, in this case the Mousetrap. I have bound a Mousetrap into my crystal, into my diamond. I right click the chest, and now tier 1 hex gives you one use. I have hexed this block with 1 charge of Mousetrap. So I'm going to get Ghost to go over there and right click the chest, and ta-da! And that was 1 use. That hex is no longer there. We'd need to use a stronger tier than tier 1 if we wanted more than 1 use. So, how many uses do we get? Well, let's go build this hex. All hexes have an obsidian center. They have torches at the 4 outer points. They're all 5x5 runes. Redstone dust on both sides of the torch. Now the blocks in the sort of north, south, east, west points here sort of indicate what it is. Buttons for touching. And then you've got tier blocks around the side. So let's see how many you get for tier 2. How many charges? Again, buttons falling off. Touch hex, and then we need another Mousetrap rune. Now, whilst you can use the curse runes as many times as you like, with without hexing them, you may want to consider using the hexes because it's much more compact, and because you can hide them much more sneakily. Right click again. So we've got the touch hex, tier 2, Mousetrap. 8 charges of Mousetrap. And whenever Ghost uses that, he'll get set on fire. And you can see that he has now erased all charges remaining of the... Let's heal him. All charges of the Mousetrap rune are now gone. So if you were to activate this whilst holding a block, it wouldn't go off. So bear that in mind, that if anyone wants to be sure of not hitting a touch hex, just activate it whilst holding a block. Okay, so the next hex is this, the damage hex. It works in exactly the same way. Damage hex accepted, bind a curse into this tool, binding the Mousetrap. And what shall we use? What is a fragile thing we would want to protect? Well, how about, someone was talking to me the other day about they were having issues on their server with someone stealing their chrono trigger. Whilst we are too low down to actually have one function, I can still demonstrate the basic principle. There you go, I've hexed that with a Mousetrap. Better give him a... See, he punches it, although I probably should have given him a pickaxe. But that's him set on fire, and he is not apparently intelligent enough to run into the water. So that's that one, and there's nothing particularly new about that. It's very similar to a damage sensor, except that, well, apart from the other thing. The final one here we have is the portal hex, which is a very useful one, in that it is only ever triggered when a player teleports to the hexed block. That is not to say they walk over it, that is not to say that they otherwise punch or right click or whatever. It's only when... Oh, mousetrap accepted, that was me forgetting to bind it in. There we go. Would have set myself on fire there. Place it on the center of a waypoint, and once it is on the center of the waypoint, whenever you teleport to that block, recall, or moved apart FTP, or topsy-turvy, or whatever, whenever you get moved to that block, it will set you on fire. Or whatever curse you happen to have bound into it, because there are others. All hexes work with all curses, and perhaps the most useful thing about this is what I will show you now. Oh, respawned right here, how convenient. Alright, get some Phaseblocks. And let's place them here. Alright, standard Phaseblock. Cool, there's a door frame for Phaseblocks. Ka-chink, ka-chink. Now, the neat thing about this is, with things like automation, triggers, and so forth, they are not compatible with most other types of magic, whereas the hexes are. And it is fully possible to have things like Braver, other things like Phaseblocks, which are the traditional one that causes issues, and put a hex on them, which at the moment you couldn't do if you wanted to use damage sensors for hexes. So that's kind of like the big sell point with these, is that they cannot be readily destroyed. Let's see what we get for a tier 3. We got 1 for tier 1, 8 for tier 2, so I need a mousetrap now. Tier 2 this time. There we go. So I placed it on this block here. 16 charges, so that's 1, 8, 16. Now whenever Ghost were to punch this phase block here, not only would the phase block trigger, but it would also... There we go. So that's a very good way of protecting a phase block door of being broken down, because at the moment you can have all the good locks in the world and on your phase block obsidian door, and it will stop nobody from just hitting it with a power pick until it breaks down. So this is one of the advantages of that system there. You could also bind it onto a lock block, so whenever anyone triggered it, they received nasty burn. So I think that's everything about that. I've covered how you make a hex, I've covered the 3 different hexes, I've covered one of the curses, and I have explained about how they stack with existing magical constructs. So I think that is everything for this tutorial. So thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.